You ever been told, God has you right where he wants you? Well, I was told that when I was betrayed. My wife and I are about to have our first child. I came up with this tour idea, and I remember going to my manager and going, I want to do a tour with a tour bus, because comedians haven't filmed being on a tour with a tour bus up until this time. And I'm going to bring my best friends that I grew up with. They're going to play in a band behind me, which all led up to the comedy special called Hardcore. If you see Hardcore, you know, some people go, oh yeah, the hokey pokey. That's their favorite bit from there.
AC/DC, first of all, the guys are like 50. And none of them are above like 3 feet high. But the best is Brian Johnson. He comes out. Take the hokey pokey and tear it up. Put your left foot in.
That was all from this idea and this tour that I'm presenting to my manager at the time. And I will never forget his face. He's sitting there and he goes, oh my God, this is genius, Papa. This has never been done before. I mean, you have rock and roll comedians, but like to actually film all this and be on tour, I'm like, right? Isn't this some, right? I come on to something. We do all these cities, we film the whole thing. It's like, oh, Papa, this is genius. And I remember seeing his eyes light up and the excitement. And well, I let him go about 2 weeks later. And the reason I let him go at that time was because before I got Saturday Night Live, and when I first really started moving and grooving in my comedy career, I got the Uptown Comedy Club, and then I got some deals with NBC and ABC, which was Disney basically. But when I first really started, I wasn't getting paid. I'm really young, just got married. My wife and I really can't afford the rent. We were living in Long Island on top of an attic apartment, barely getting by. So I'd go out and do all these gigs, these college gigs and all that. And I'd come to him and he'd be like, oh, you know, I ain't got no money. And I remember talking to other comedians about it. We would go there, say that, hey, you know, we did these gigs already, where's our money? And we end up leaving the office going, I'm really sorry that I asked for my money, and I'm really, you know, I understand your predicament. It was like an insane voodoo trick that he had on all of us. I was owed a lot of money, and for a young man to be owed money like that, anyone to be owed money is just wrong. So when I got Saturday Night Live, that was my first big, now I have the leverage. But I still had that in the back of my mind. You took advantage of me. So when I presented this idea and I saw him like, oh man, this is brilliant. I saw him going, we're gonna make lots of money. We're gonna be super famous. We're gonna have it all. I saw it in his eyes. And part of me was like, little does he know I'm gonna pull the rug out from under him. So now I'm on tour. I get my two best friends I grew up from Long Island, my friend Jimmy, my friend Larry, and my friend Paul, and we're on our tour. That was one of the greatest times. We saw the country. Lars Ulrich of Metallica showed up in San Francisco with James Hetfield. Lars and I were in the back of our tour bus just mosh pitting one night to System of a Down, which actually led to filming Hardcore by Comedy Central. But before all this goes down, when I leave the manager, some friends come up to me like, hey man, have you seen this comedian? And they got this tour bus and cameras. What? No, I haven't. No, I don't know what you're talking about. And I would hear more and more like, hey, you know, this guy, you know, it kind of looks like rock and roll-y now. And I'm like, no. And the next thing you know, a series comes out on one of the cable networks. Huge. Like it is a monstrosity at the time, which then the communists getting movies and all that jazz. I'm all for anyone getting success, but when I see what started this, that's mine. There's no way that I went there, present this to you. I saw you get excited, and now I can only say, in my opinion, what this guy did was turn around, and then he explained it to his other client, and then the client sort of looked cool and hip now and rock and rolly, and they sold it to the network, and boom. Now at this time, I'm starting to raise a family, and I'm a little worried about my parents that are getting older. My dad's had a couple strokes, and I convinced my parents to move to New Jersey, which is where we're living. And I always said, Hollywood will always be there. As long as you can make money, that's all they care about. But watching this while I'm just doing a gig for this amount and this amount, and this person's making $20 million of my project that I put out there, that I told this person, they took it and they went that way. I can't prove that, but the circumstances. So now I'm gonna take this human being down. I'm gonna take it all down. Now I'm watching this guy now is part of television and producing this show, and now this guy that just I'm in my basement and I'm obsessed. Now at the time, my wife, she found Jesus, she found the Lord. And at that time, it hands down, it saved our marriage. So I'm in my basement and I'm finding my tapes, and I'm finding the notes that when I went there and I pitched it to him, and people would tell me, like, when that guy would come to the office, he'd be watching your videos, and I'm finding that message and all that to prove that they took this and they're out there making $20-30 million off of Jim Breuer. Well, I'm still just trying to get by and support my family, because I left this world. But I knew how to do it without Hollywood and all that. And my wife comes down. She's like, what are you doing, Jim? You don't understand. I'm taking them down, D. I'm taking them down. They stole this idea. And she says to me in the most calm manner, she went, Jim, let him have it. Let him have it? That's your solution, let him have it. She went, Jim, God has you right where he wants you. I went, not what I want to hear right now. Not what I want to hear. God has me right where he wants me, while they're making $20 million off of my money. I pitched an idea and he stole it. He stole it. He looked at my face, he saw it, he took it, he stole it, he sold it. They went to a network, he stole it. That's our money, D, that's our money. God has you right where he wants you. You said you wanted to be home around your family. You have your family. You said you wanted to live a simpler life. We're living a simpler life, Jim. You said you wanted to be close to your parents. Your parents are now 3 miles from us, so you can always check in on them. Let them have it. Let's see where they are 5 years from now, 10 years from now. She goes, Jim, I've never met anyone so creative in my life. If they have to take something in order to become something, that'll all come back to them in time. Oh. You have no clue how hard that is. But I trusted. Well, the best years of my life was living in that home in Chester, raising my daughters, and being close to my family and my mother and my father. Best years. And during that time, I watched the comedian who rose to the absolute top, and then whatever circumstances started crumbling. And I wouldn't wish that on anyone. And I saw the guy who I pitched it to slowly getting accused of things, and also slowly coming down. And during that period of time, I got to see my 3 daughters grow up. I got to be around family, and I even got to be there for my parents when they got older. You know, I begged God my whole life, I just want to be there when my dad passed, and I got to hold my dad to his last breath. I got to do all that. I got to be there with my mom when she passed. And that is greater than any dollar you can ever throw in front of my face. Now, I remember I had to go to California. I had to go to LA. I can't stand LA. And I checked into this hotel, really cool place, almost like a little apartments. And went to the front desk and I said, hey, I know it's a little late, but is there anywhere to eat? He said, yeah, if you go out the front door and make a left and walk down the street, there's like a little taco pizza place. It's a lot of young people. I said, no, that's perfect. So I get out, I go there and I walk in and I find this little booth and I sit down, and all of a sudden I hear, hey, Breuer. And I look up and it was the comedian, the entertainer that boom, and then went from the idea that I told my manager at the time about. And he says, with very genuine heart, hey man, I really admire what you did with your dad. I didn't get that. I wasn't around, and when things happened, I felt such a presence of healing. And I remember the words were overwhelming. I went right to the moment of my wife going, God's got you right where he wants you. And I got up and I gave him a hug. What are the chances of all that happening? Now, I will say this. I don't blame the manager at all. I don't blame anyone, because at the end of the day, that was me. I went with intentions to deceive him, which I never saw until I was healed down the road, and I was healed from that moment. I realized I don't blame him, but in the end, trusting what my wife says, God has you right where he wants you. Trust God in this. All that, you can label it however you want. That's funny how God works. Funny how God works. Wow.